All set, Chris?
Yep, I'm gonna mute my audio for you and take it away.
Okay. Okay. I'm Mitch Goldblatt, Chairman of the Orange Recycling Committee. This is a regular meeting of the Orange Recycling Committee via Zoom on Wednesday, August 19th, 2020. And we have a quorum, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:07. And first thing up is review of the minutes from July 15th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
No.
If
No,
not,
I do have a question. Well, Mark, you wrote them.
Loretta.
I don't have an objection.
May I just ask a question? Not on it. It's the part of the minutes under new business, paint can recycling.
Yep.
Do you know, are they doing it? Because Phil went there last week and the shed was totally full and they were not accepting his paint cans.
Did he go on a Saturday?
I doubt it.
Okay, so the paint care, well,
Oh, wait, yes, he did, because it's only open on Saturday.
Yeah, I was there
Right.
Saturday too, and they weren't taking it.
Yes, thank you.
that's disappointing because they only opened on Saturday recently because they were having problem with people putting things in there or not paint. They have
Oh,
more
gee.
personnel on Saturday to keep a better eye on it. So that might mean it wasn't picked up and was full, or they didn't have didn't have enough personnel to watch it that day. But the paint care is back open, and hopefully will be open next time Phil or anybody else goes to the transfer station.
Yeah, he was told that it was full and they couldn't accept anymore. And so he went down to Has Waste and at the water company.
Okay. So as part of the minutes, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Wasn't there?
I'll motion.
Okay, Wendy makes the motion to approve the minutes. Karen seconds. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, treasurer's report. Mark, you're up.
Yep, our balance is still $1,392.48. Nothing has changed. I mean, we were appropriated a budget of $1,700. Still has not yet been credited to our account. Mark Williams said that they got a new accounting system and he's trying to learn it and work on it.
Yeah, they're taking over the Munis system there. The Munis system is taking over them. That has delayed a few things from finance. Hasn't delayed paychecks, which is a good thing, but it has delayed a few things getting done. So, and we're in no rush for it at the moment. Although we will be discussing some potential expenditures later in the meeting, but I think we'll be okay. So, thanks, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Okay, if not, we will move on to the next thing on the agenda is the update on the residential recycling. And I just get my list together here. That was distributed to everyone. And for the second month in a row, we were up in the amount of residential recycling. We were at 89.38 tons in the month of July. An 8.3% increase for the month year to year, July to July. And the way I figure, we're about 5% up for the year. So we're seeing some increased numbers, which is good. Any questions about that?
No, that's great. I think Eileen must be doing a good job with her Facebook.
There you go.
I must do it.
Thanks, Eileen. Okay, on to all business. So we had a temporary setback with the shed at home from Home Depot. The tropical storm that blew through here also blew through the shed. Fortunately, it didn't destroy it like the last time, but it did knock it over, and we were out of commission for a day or two. But it's back up and open, but it's more open than before. Like, once again, the doors are off of it. Not critical as long as it's still being, covered, which it is. And I also ran into Matt Hyatt at Home Depot, the general manager there, about 2 weeks ago, before that happened, actually. But he said he's still working on getting us a permanent structure and would still work on that. So, which leads me to the next item of all business, which is, Chris, you want to bring us up to date on your you're sending a thank you on behalf of the committee.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, just to let everybody know, recently I drafted a thank you letter to Matt just to show our appreciation on behalf of the town, the Board of Selectmen, the residents, to have something there at this time after our long wait with due to COVID. So that letter has gone out with the idea that obviously we'll have to circle around, and I appreciate Mitch touching base when he was in there, but hopefully we'll see something permanent. But we did send our thanks for him and for, you know, kind of following through and delivering on getting us a temporary shed, ultimately moving to our permanent shed. So hopefully we will see that during the fall season, which will be real nice to see something permanently there. That sounds like it's going to be structurally sound, so it should be a nice piece once it's all up and running.
Yep. And I want to thank Chris. It was, Chris has been, as everyone knows, really pushing for the shed, and he drafted a thank you note, which I thought was very appropriate considering everything. So thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Hey,
Sure.
Chris.
Okay, the highlight of the last couple months.
Drum roll.
For those that get to see the Board of Selectmen meeting on OGAT eventually, you'll get to see the show. So let me take you through what took place. Going back since the last meeting, we discussed the situation with certain members of the Board of Selectmen feeling very strongly about goodwill. The first selectman getting notification from Bay State Textiles that they were interested in putting their container up at the transfer station, also putting containers at the schools and paying the town $100 a ton. So I said to Jim after that meeting that I was willing to draft a proposal. Well, actually it was a questionnaire to allow all three to put it in writing as to what they were willing to do for the town, so we could put apples to apples, or as I like to say, Eileen coined this, junk to junk, comparisons of the three potential vendors. And so the Public Works Department looked it over. They made a couple of suggested changes, which were acceptable, and sent it out to all three. And when the deadline came, the only one that came back in writing to us was Simple Recycling. I had spoken to the woman at Bay State Textiles. I'd spoken to the CEO of our region's Goodwill. I was not surprised that Goodwill did not submit anything, because in speaking to the CEO there, Richie Borer, he was like, Mitch, I was a mayor. I know what's going on. He says, if you guys can get money for this stuff, go for it. That's basically what he said. And he said, if things fail, Goodwill will come back.
Nice.
But they didn't put anything in writing. But I understand Jim Zioli also had a discussion with Rich Borer as well, and got basically, I think, the same type of message. And Bay State Textiles did not respond. But quite frankly, when I spoke to them and try to find out more about what their operation was about, we didn't know this at the Board of Selectmen last month, they only take textiles. So they don't take the other things that Goodwill or Simple will take, the household goods, the books, the appliances, the things like that, the toys, the games, et cetera, et cetera. So, but in the meantime, as you know, Sonny Wilkins from Simple was on the call with us at that last meeting and heard the discussion about Bay State paying $100 a ton, and heard the discussion about putting drop boxes at the other facilities, to be the schools possibly. So when the proposal went out, he sharpened his pencil and said, I don't want to lose this. And so he submitted $115 a ton, which was more than we'd seen in the long shot. And he told me privately that was as high as he could go. If he got outbid, that was it. But he put it in paper and no one else did. So then we got to the Board of Selectmen meeting, and he flew in from Ohio to be at that meeting. And he was determined to either win this proposal, or if he was going to lose it, he wanted to know why in person. And when I introduced him to the first selectman, Jim says, look, you're all set. So I was like,
As if 3 months never happened, right?
I was like,
Yeah.
really? So So a few minutes later, we had a unanimous vote to change over from Goodwill to Simple Recycling. Not without some theatrics by Loretta Smith dragging in her pink bag and showing people what could go in the transfer station. And I know some of you were there that night. I appreciate
Good support.
support. It was great to see people at the Board of Selectmen meeting. It was also great to see people in person for a change. And so it went really well. And so what's happening now since the last meeting is Sonny Wilkins from Simple Recycling is reaching out to Vin Marino, the town council, to put together an agreement, because we have to put this all in writing, especially because they're going to pay us money. So that's one thing that's being worked on. The other thing that's being worked on, interestingly enough, is the fact that Goodwill maybe will leave their trailer there for Simple Recycling to use. And the reason is because Goodwill figures it's going to cost them more to drag that trailer out of there than would just to leave it, even though they own it. So Sonny is in touch. He's trying to be in touch with Goodwill to see if that can be worked out. If that works out, two things happen. One is it saves them some money, which is their business, not ours, but also means we can probably have this happen faster. Because if we first have to go to Goodwill to take the trailer out, and for Simple Recycling to get one to put in, the logistics of that are going to take several weeks. Not that it may not take several weeks to begin with, but if Simple Recycling can just take over the current trailer and change the signage, that would be great. So
It's regarding the signage. Do you think that Simple Recycling will provide a big sign that states what types of items to put in and what types not to put in?
I don't know. I think we can look into that. I can ask the question when we figure out what trailer they have. I think though, and I'm just thinking out loud, for most of the townspeople, it should be seamless. That there'll still be a trailer up there. They'll still bring the same kind of things there plus. So I think we're gonna be okay in that respect. We'll talk about signage a little later. I want to talk about that under new business and
Hey,
more
Mitch.
Yeah,
comprehensive.
because
Yeah,
I think people would.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Not take.
yeah, Chris, you're coming in like God. I hear your voice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Stephanie Nichols,
Oh,
should
somebody
I
wants to-
admit her?
Okay, hold on. I will admit.
Awesome.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure she could join and everything was good.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I'm Stephanie. Nice to
Hi.
meet you all.
Hello.
Hello.
Coming in as a guest.
I am. I was interested in what we're doing in Orange with recycling, et cetera. So thank you
great.
for including me.
You are welcome. You're welcome. So, Stephanie, just so you know, we're talking about we're on our part of the agenda. We're talking about Simple Recycling replacing Goodwill at the transfer station. So, as I was saying, that's a good question about the signage as to whether they'll put up more of what they'll take. I also know that I've spoken to Steve Heckman over at the Milford Orange Times, and Loretta, I think we're going to put together an article that's going to outline things because he wants to put Loretta to work on this. Is that okay, Loretta?
I already did, and I sent it in because it was due Monday.
Oh, great.
Yes,
Excellent. Excellent.
yeah. And he ran up to me as soon as we were through at Simple Recycling. I want you to put every item on there in the article that they will accept. So he wants it, the full list, yeah. And that's already gone in. Eileen was terrific because that night she went home and she posted it all on Facebook.
Right. Thank you, Eileen, for doing that. I saw that. That's great.
Yeah,
Thanks, Loretta.
sure. Thank you.
I should have taken pictures of Loretta with her,
Pink bag.
presentation, but I didn't even think of it. I'm sorry, Loretta. Maybe we can reenact it another time and then I can.
No, we already have a picture.
No, I mean of you with your pink bag standing at the podium with,
Oh,
doing your demo.
well, we have a picture after with Sunny and
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
posted
yeah.
Mitch. It's on Facebook.
Oh, I missed it on Facebook. I only saw the listing of the items. I'll go on Facebook and check that out. That's
Yeah,
great.
check it out. Or I can
That's great.
email it to you.
Yeah, very nice gentleman. He was very excited about all this. And so I've
Yes.
talked to him since. So these are the things that are happening. He's going to work on an agreement with the town attorney. He is anxious for us to help him publicize this, which we are obviously doing. We're going to check into, we're not sure exactly how to get the bins to the schools, because there's a little bit of jurisdictional issue there, whether the boards of ed have to approve that or not. Remember, the school buildings are on town land, but we want to respect the Board of Ed. So I've spoken to a couple members of the Board of Ed about this, and they may take it up at a future meeting where I may attend, if necessary. But hopefully that'll go through, because then people can bring stuff 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, drop in at the schools. And then Loretta mentioned, I think it was Loretta, who asked about houses of worship.
Yes.
Also, Loretta, want to expand on that?
Well, a neighbor of mine mentioned it, and she said, when people go, it's very simple for them just to take it there also, because not everybody goes to the transfer station. So if they could take it, say, to churches, synagogues, it would be ideal. That's what my neighbors suggested.
Well, we'd have to approach each of the individual houses of worship to see if they were interested in helping in that respect. They may or may not want a bin on their parking lot.
Sure.
Um,
So
I
how do we
don't-
go about that? Would you like me to work on that?
That sounds like a wonderful idea, Loretta.
My pleasure.
Before you do that though, let me
Yes.
talk to Sonny, or I'll let you talk to Sonny and see if that's something he is willing to do. Remember, each of those boxes, I'm sure, cost him some money,
Yes.
to see what the deal is there. Also, regardless of whether we're able to put them at the schools, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to put one in High Plains.
Oh, nice.
That'd be another spot where
Yes.
people can bring
That'd be
things.
great.
And look, it's great. We have more opportunities to recycle things, keep things out of the bin, out of the hopper, and the town getting paid for it. It's not going to be a lot of money, but it's going to be some. And at a time when we're searching for everything we can get, there's not many revenue streams for the town. So this is great. And I appreciate everybody's support on this whole program. So I think it's, just now we got the approval from the Board of Selectmen. We just have to make sure it happens. And Sonny's very anxious to do that. So, and just to those, one more thing. I see Eileen. I'll call you in a second. One more thing. There was concern about, and this was a concern with Goodwill, was what happens when it's full. We don't want things overrunning. And as you are well aware, they're still running the program house to house in Milford, because Milford has its own trash pickup, municipal trash pickup, and they're able to work out with Milford differently than they did with Orange. But the point being is that they will have drivers in Milford, our neighboring community, 4 days a week. So it will not be difficult to get a hold of them, for a 24-hour notice to make sure they run by either the transfer station or any of the schools or whatever, maybe depending on what the participation is, they may just put on a regular route. So it'll work out. So I'm very hopeful this will be successful. So thanks again to everybody. Eileen, you had a question?
Me too.
Yeah, just, so Loretta, about the worship place. the
Yes.
place of worship. I'm on the fence about that, but, I just was wondering if it might make it easier for you. Isn't there some sort of council of all the clergy people? Because like when a tragedy happens, they usually put out some group message. So
Oh.
maybe there's like one designated person that you could get in touch
Oh.
with,
Oh, is that right? I don't know.
I don't know.
There
I mean,
is a clergy group in the town, but I think this is going to be something that's going to be handled individually by each house of worship. One
Mhm.
church or synagogue might say it's a great idea. Let's
Yes.
do it. Others may not feel comfortable, especially if the money's not going to them. Why would we want to, take up parking spaces for that? So I think it's just going to be an individual choice, individual
We
being
want to help out.
being each house of worship to determine whether they want to participate, and we can go from there. But let me talk to Sonny first before you even
Yes.
approach any of the houses of worship to see if that's even something they want to even explore.
And could you find out the dimensions of a bin also? If they say they can do it, then the churches
Yep.
and synagogues will want to know how big those things are.
Yep, I will do that. I'm sure they're the same. I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure it'd be the same as the ones you see in parking lots throughout town.
Oh.
That's where, the drop-off bins that you see for Salvation Army, for Goodwill, for,
Those are big,
well, and they fill-
relatively.
and they fill up quickly. So,
Yes, well, that's true. That's very true.
okay, so we'll check into that. All right,
Okay.
anything else on simple recycling? Yeah, Chris.
Mitch, just real quick, I just wanted to say thank you for the tremendous work you did, and watching the Board of Selectmen kind of work this through. I really appreciated how they, didn't just say no, but they thought through, and these proposals came forward, and I think, at the end, it turned out to be a lot better than we even expected. So I appreciate the Board of Selectmen work on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, it was frustrating for me, but I think it ended up in the long run better for everybody. And I think it's we got more answers that we didn't have up front, more because we had questions of things people hadn't thought of before, and we had some competition, so that helped. We didn't expect that, and that helped as well. So
yeah, exactly. I just want to put that out.
okay. The next item on the agenda is the tour of the Oak Ridge Recycling Plant. I just keep it on the agenda because I don't want us to forget it, but I don't think we're quite there yet with COVID. But I am very anxious to see this operation, to see how they work, especially, and I'll bring this up now because the question has come up from friends and members of our committee as well. So everyone understands the plastic bags that go into the shed do end up in the same bin as they call the mom and pop, the cans, the bottles, the newspapers. But when they go in there in this one huge bag, big trash bag type thing, as I think you're all aware, in the rack and pack. And when it gets to Oak Ridge or any other recycling facility, it's easily separated into their program that takes the wrap and the plastic bags. Individual plastic bags, individual wrap mixed in with the cans and bottles and newspapers are disastrous.
Oh, yeah.
Because they just go through the same conveyors and everything else, and actually, stop the conveyors and things like that. So, but some people have said to me, "Oh my God, all the plastic bags are in that bin." Well, that's actually where they're supposed to go. When it's all filled, they tie the bag up, toss it into that bin. That's where it goes. So I want to make sure everyone who's watching this understands that and doesn't get so alarmed. But it also does not mean that you can just throw plastic bags into that big big trailer. So make sure.
So then, Mitch, Mark.
Yeah.
So then what happens with that load that they collect that has all the bottles and cans that are wrapped up in the plastic? They still take it and they just have to pull the plastic all out by hand?
Well, that's one reason why I want to go to Oak Ridge. Those may just get tossed in the garbage. I don't think I don't think they want to be so labor intensive about that. It's possible that they do take out stuff that people put in plastic bags that are good recyclables, but contamination is the biggest problem with recycling program in the United States. And the worst contaminant right now we're hearing is the plastic bags and wrap.
Right. Because as you saw by the photo I texted you,
Yep.
it was barely a third full, and yet half of it seemed to be plastic bags with the stuff inside the plastic bag.
Oh,
It's crazy.
Right. And people, and I've been at the transfer station many times, as people know, and I watch people and I just hold my breath when they have a plastic bag. And if they dump it over the side and hold on to the plastic bag, that's a good thing. They dump the whole thing over, that's a bad thing. And you don't really know until they're ready to let go.
Well, that's what's coming next. Eileen gives me her recycles from work in a plastic bag, so I dump them over, and then I take the plastic bag and I walk 4 feet over to the shed and put it in there. So Eileen's going to come with me the next time and videotape it so she can put it on Facebook.
There you
What
go.
a great idea.
idea.
Great idea.
It's good, and the Facebook people are great, but unfortunately, the Facebook people, it's kind of preaching to the choir a little bit. the people who aren't following us on Facebook that somehow need to hear the lesson probably.
Yes, yes and no. There's
Something.
people, the people who are recycling want to do it right. And if they find out they're doing it wrong, they're the first to fix it.
How do we get them all on Facebook though?
True. Well, look, we could do whatever we can do, and word of mouth and other ways of getting the word out is all great. Is all great. Next up on the agenda is the Has Waste Day for October 3rd. I have not been informed yet whether we're going to be in person for that or not. As you know, our Has Waste Day in June, the June Has Waste was held, but they did not need volunteers for that. They worked it differently. I have a feeling we may get canceled again. I will keep you posted. We have a couple months. I will keep you posted certainly by the September meeting as to whether our services are required in person for that or not. But the important thing to let people know is that Has Waste is open every Saturday from 9 to noon on Sergeant Drive at the Regional Water Authority. And for those that do have hazardous waste, that's where you should bring it. It does not cost anything for the individual. The town is picking up the tab for that. All the towns pick up the tab for that. So that's where that's going. On the other hand, all systems go for Shredding Day. October 17th, we're still raring to go. As a matter of coincidence more than anything, I was invited to speak at the Rotary Club's luncheon recently, although their luncheon is now a Zoom. Last time I spoke, I got a good meal out of it. This time this time I finished up with the meeting and then walked back in my office and had my own lunch. But
yeah, tell Phil, say it again. He's right here.
Oh, I told Phil he owed me a lunch for that. There he is.
Anytime, Nick, anytime.
Thanks. Well, Phil is the president of Rotary Club. Phil invited me to speak about recycling, and we had I thought, and Phil can chime in, I guess, behind Loretta there. I thought it was excellent. There were about 20 people, 20 Rotarians on the Zoom call, and I can say this in front of Phil. I did praise the Rotary Club for all their help with our recycling efforts by hosting and sponsoring our shredding days. Was very excited about that. Also complimented them because this whole, Chris knows this, I think all of you may know this, to get that permanent shed, we're kind of working it through the Rotary Club because the Home Depot cannot donate to a community, but they can donate to a 501c3. So the Rotary Club has agreed to be our interim for that. So the shed will technically be donated eventually to the Rotary Club, who will then donate it to the town. Make that work.
Yeah, thank you, Rotary.
We got a little bit of maneuvering going there, but it's working. But anyway, I thought, Phil, what's your honestly, your feedback? The Rotarians seem to be very appreciative and they had great questions. Great questions.
It was good. Yeah, we had a meeting, the directors were meeting last night, and they thought that was the most informative session that they'd had in several weeks.
Wow.
Not weeks, several months.
Yeah.
And some of them said, gee, I thought I understood recycling, but that really made it clear I've been screwing up in certain ways. So it was very valuable, and they talked about it at some of the breakfast meetings. So well worth it. I thought it was excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I was just trying to, explain everything we do, which is what the mission of this committee is to get the word out about recycling and, getting it out to some of the, Rotarians in our town, explaining how the blue bins work and what gets separated, what doesn't. And we talked everything from pizza boxes to paint to electronics and also simple recycling. So it was a very, very informative session for me also, because there were some good questions there too. But thank you for inviting me. That was great. Thanks, Phil. So we are on for Shredding Day, at least right now. So everybody should mark their calendar October 17th if you haven't already. Once again, as of right now, the Mattress Council, Bye Bye Mattress, is still also on board for that, as is the Orange Community Women. So we just hope that we can keep this going. We also talked kind of as an aside at the Rotary lunch. We talked about how we're going to try to promote this a little differently. It may have a little impact on the Rotary's efforts to collect for a scholarship, but I think if things remain almost pretty much the same as they are today concerning COVID-19, that will try to have and convince people to just pop the trunk, you know, or open the back door and try to have less of that face-to-face contact, asking for donations. Certainly, we'll make it available for people to drop donations, and I'm going to count on the Rotary Club to do that because the money does go for Rotary Club scholarships, and it is all voluntary. But as far as we're going to try to convince people, stay in your car, pop the trunk, open the back door, and we will grab the stuff to be shredded and go from there and have and let people feel much more comfortable about doing this. I mean, some people don't really care. They just want to get their stuff out of the house, no matter what it takes. But this way, we're trying to make it as safely and as they say, less contact as possible. And we'll go through that as we get closer as well and know what the protocol is for shredding. Any questions about shredding day?
Yes, yes.
Loretta?
Are we allowed to throw mattresses in the hopper at the transfer station?
Well, the answer to that is yes and no. Yes, you're allowed to throw mattresses at the transfer station. No, you don't want to do that.
Okay, yeah, because I read somewhere that you could, and I thought, I don't think so.
Yes, one of my pet peeves was that we don't collect mattresses at the transfer station right now. It's been a difficult thing to get approved by the town of Orange. It has been approved by many other towns to collect them the same way you collect paint and electronics, just have a trailer out there. But that notwithstanding, mattresses, that's the only place for them to go unless you buy a mattress in a store and they come and deliver it and take one away.
Right.
But more and more people are buying mattresses online, and that doesn't happen online.
Yeah.
So if you have mattresses or box springs, if you can hang on to them for a couple months, bring them to High Plains or have the Lions Club will pick them up at your house for $10 a mattress or a box spring. They're still on board to pick them up. We'll hopefully make that all happen and get them recycled. And by the way, forgot where I heard this recently, but mattresses weigh about an average of 45 pounds a mattress.
Wow.
So you start multiplying, that adds up into a lot more cost for the town to dispose of than plastic bags, that's for sure.
Yeah,
so certainly want to encourage people to bring mattresses and box springs to the and those get recycled down to everything. They recycle the metal, the wood, the fabric, the foam, everything. So it's a great.
Well, that's amazing.
That's amazing. It's done in Bridgeport.
Oh yeah.
Factories in Bridgeport that that does that.
Let's visit them.
Yeah, I think that'd be great if we again get the ability to visit people.
Yeah, in the spring or something.
Right. Okay, so any other old business? If not, we'll move on to new business. We'll talk about the signage at the transfer station. So a couple things. We are going to need to replace the placard as you enter the transfer station, removing the Goodwill sign with one for Simple Recycling. And we'll need a same thing, either on the same trailer or a new trailer for Simple Recycling. So I'm hoping that I turn to Eileen, our artistic guru here, to help with designing something like that in the same fashion as we did before. Simple Recycling does have a logo, which I think we should just use their logo.
Oh, yeah.
And put it in a circle like the rest of the other ones are and just replace it, but change it out from Goodwill to Simple Recycling. At the same time, our sign we had for brush and leaves has been destroyed. Not sure if it was by the chipper or by a machinery, but that needs to be replaced. So I think when we order, we'll talk to Steve from Fast Signs, who did the original order, about replacing that and reinstalling all those. But we'll need a design first. And so along with that, I know Eileen wanted to talk about additional signage if you did. Is this still a topic for you?
Yeah, I wanted, based on Mark's experience at the transfer station last week with the plastic bags going into the into the mixed recyclables, there is a sign that we put there. It's basically a image of a trash bag with a circle and a cross out thing over it, and says no plastic bag. But people are still putting plastic bags in there. So I would like to propose that we spend some of our money on getting a few more signs, which can be big words, big letters, arrows. You know, we could say, step 1, put your mixed recyclables here. And then step 2 is the shed over there, you know, A and B, or something that would just make it more tied together and make it
Nice.
more obvious. And then if people still do it, then they really look extremely stupid, because the signs are like, you can't miss it. So
I didn't think you could miss the one that says no plastic bags, quite
well,
frankly.
they could sort
I
of
didn't
like
either,
pretend
since
like
it's
they
right
don't
there
see
in the
it. You know,
middle.
there's only one. They could pretend like they don't see it or something like that. But if we put more around there and it just says, you know, in big letters, no plastic bags, or even we put why no plastic bags,
Why?
you know, or
Yeah, I
something.
think
I would
they need
propose
to
like
know why.
Karen?
They need to know why. Otherwise, they're going to keep putting plastic bags in there.
It's hard to explain it. I mean,
5 words or less.
you know,
well, it's simple. No, if you put plastic bags in there, then the mixed recyclables are contaminated and they get put into the trash instead of recycled.
that's
right?
easily explained, but not on a sign.
Oh, it can be.
It
make
might be.
A little education.
Eileen can work up some art magic.
Okay,
I think you can.
okay, Eileen.
It's either
sounds like
that or,
you-
or a security camera, and then we just look
Yeah,
at the footage.
right.
and-
Shame them on social media.
And
Oh,
Have a big
You all know
board
that-
that goes up.
I don't think you should shame people, but I think they need to be educated. Yeah.
This is true. Look, I still think we need a recycling attendant there, but I haven't been able to win that battle over yet for additional person or a person to be stationed to help just for recycling. It's interesting though, they did start on working with somebody with the paint.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I wish they had done the same thing with the bags. You only have to be told
Well-
once, but
Why don't, when we get a new shed for the bags, if people on our committee are willing, maybe we could each take a Saturday this fall or something and just be there. And if we see people putting in the wrong place, we could say, oh, excuse me, let me help you, this blah, 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 and explain it. The
okay.
personal touch. Eileen, what do you think?
Recycling concierge.
Yeah.
Concierge.
Better than calling it the recycling police.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Concierge.
Concierge, I like that.
Well, it is a thought. We volunteer for Has Waste Day in New Haven, which is always, yeah, that's a good time. But maybe we do rotate periodically throughout the year just to educate our own
Yeah.
neighbors.
We wear our orange recycle
Good.
t-shirts.
Yep.
We're there to help them.
Okay,
Good idea.
I like the idea.
I like
All
that.
right. So Eileen, you'll work on some more signage. We'll go back and forth on that. All right. Any more discussion on that issue for now? Okay, if not, Loretta, you wanted to talk about recycling bins on one side of the street.
Oh, right. Well, another neighbor of mine questioned why we don't have them on one side of the street. One of you, I think, pointed out, Chris, that the mailboxes are across the street, right? They're on one side. So this person was saying, well, maybe if the recycle bins are on one side, the truck could go through faster. And would it save the town some money? I don't know.
The answer to the last question is no, because at least the way it's structured right now, the contract with city carting is based on the number of households in the town.
Okay.
Whether you put your bin out or not, we are being charged. That's how they charge us, based on number of households that they have to pass.
Oh.
by. If they stop at every single one of them, that's great. If they stop at none of them, it's not good, but it still costs us the same amount of money as the way.
Wow.
So I don't think it's gonna. Remember, we have. This is, and that might make a lot of sense. And not that that doesn't make sense. That might make more sense if the town was doing the pickup.
Yeah.
We were able to save town resources, either in time or money or whatever. But they've got that route down pretty well now. And
Yes,
I think then to make it more of an inconvenience for some people, they have to bring their bin across the street, which isn't a big
Right.
inconvenience, but for some people it might seem that way. So I'm looking for, thoughts on that.
I
think,
think you're still going to get people who won't bring their bin across the street, either because of maybe they're on a treacherous hill or a curve or something like that. So I think in the end, even if you had 80% on one side, you're probably still going to have 20% still on the other side.
Plus,
Yeah.
the wind blows, it knocks somebody else's trash in your yard, and they don't want to pick it up. Or sometimes people take a few days to even bring the bin back to their house.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Their
And
house.
during bad weather, it would, if there's ice on the street.
right. I think that I appreciate the thought, but I think there's a lot of kids doing chores and bringing that out, and I don't want kids running
Oh.
across the street in the dark.
Mhm.
So safety issue kind of trumps it for me.
Okay. Loretta, I think you have a consensus to bring back to your neighbor, I think, who brought that up. So, but thank you
Yeah.
for bringing it up. Any ideas worth discussing? So that's
Well, yeah, so we like to see townspeople getting involved, right? So I was happy.
good. Thank you.
Mhm.
The last item I have under our new business is my yearly task of putting together the annual report. So I just got notified of that the other day, late last week, from Ann Denny, the First Selectman's administrative assistant. So I will work on that, and Eileen is good at proofreading my work, so I'm going to send it to her to look at, and then we'll have it.
Excellent.
We'll have a draft to this committee for our September meeting, and with hopeful approval, because it is due by the end of September. So we had a lot going on the past year, so we have a lot to report, I hope. And we'll put it together in a one-page synopsis for the town's annual report for posterity.
Oh, thank you for doing that.
Well,
And Eileen too.
it's an obligation of every town. Every committee is supposed to put it together, and I've
Mhm.
done it each year as chair, so I have no problem doing it. But I think having another set of eyes is always good for Eileen, and then also each of you, please read it. I'll get it out to you with the agenda for next month, and then if you'll take a look at it, so we're ready to hopefully either approve it as is or make some changes at the meeting next time, so it's done by our September meeting. And so, so that's where we be. Is there any other new business?
We have some visitors. Were they going to say anything?
We do. Katie, I introduced before. Katie Clark
Right.
is in town, and she had an interest in recycling, so she has joined us tonight. Katie, anything to say?
Not really, other than with these volunteer opportunities coming up, I'd really love to get involved with that.
Excellent. We always love
Perfect.
that help.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Great to have you, Katie.
And Stephanie Nichols Burns is also on the line. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us your interest, Stephanie?
Sure. I agree. I also would love to help volunteer whenever we can do things in person, I guess. I moved to the area fairly recently in the past couple of years, and I lived in Germany for some time. And I have to tell you, everybody recycles
Oh, yeah.
everything.
Yes. Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
9 bins going on, but it worked because everybody follows the rules there. It's a cultural thing, and
Yes.
everybody was invested in it, so it's very different here, but anyway, I thought it was amazing, and whatever we can do to get things more, up to speed here would be great.
So now you two
Wonderful.
are in charge of Saturdays, making sure people put things in the right bins.
We'll get you an orange t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
Pat is volunteering them for first shift. I love it.
Having come from Germany, where they really are tough.
Well, it's interesting. We've heard things from other people as well. Being, former chairman of this committee, Tom George was always speaking about how things are in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and their transfer station, and how that ran like a well-oiled machine, and everything was in place. And Karen, when she first joined this committee, told us all about how things are done in the state of Washington, where she had previously lived, and how, things were different there and much more, I think, progressive than what we do here in certain respects. But exchanging ideas and putting things together, we've been growing. We've been growing not just in terms of recycling, but things we've been recycling and things like expanding our efforts into plastic wrap and plastic bags and expanding the mattress recycling and the shredding days, things like that. So are we ahead of most towns? I think yes. We ahead of all the towns? No, we're not. There's others that are doing more than we are, and we just try to pick up more ideas. And if we have the enthusiasm and the participation and the support, we can do it. And that's great. And I thank both Stephanie and Katie for joining our meeting tonight. That's great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
That's great.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
wonderful. Can they
welcome.
join the Orange Recycling Committee, or we're limited in membership?
We are limited to membership. We are a town committee. We're
Right.
we're a town committee with bless you, 7 members and 2 alternates, which right now all those positions are filled. I think we have everybody here tonight except for Amy, who's not able to be here tonight. So we've got a pretty active committee, but there are times that we have openings, and when we do have openings, it's always nice to have somebody who has shown an interest, and we get to know. And that's how we got some other people on this committee before.
Yes.
So speak up, and next thing you know, you're on the committee. So that's great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else out in OGAT land that's watching this or on YouTube, that's great. Thank you very much for tuning in. Our next meeting, as I say, is Wednesday, September 16th. I know we talked about this slightly for this meeting. We can legally hold meetings in person, but for right now, the sense I got from some people after that idea was broached a few days ago, that there's still some feeling we should continue on Zoom, at least for now. So unless things change dramatically in the next month, I will, at least at this point, plan our next meeting also on Zoom. Things change or people have a change of heart and want to meet in person, we can find a way to do that. We would not, I can tell you right now, that no matter when we first meet again, it will not be in that conference room at High Plains. That's too tight for us to have any meeting of more than maybe 4 people. So we'll certainly find another room to meet in if we want to do that. But for right now, I think, unless I hear objections, we'll keep this on Zoom at least for the September meeting, and then hopefully see people in person either at the October 3rd Has Waste, but hopefully the October 17th Shredding Day, we can all join in and go from there. Anything else for the good of the order here?
Oh, good meeting, Mitch.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Yes.
All right. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll
So
motion.
move.
Chris, seconded by Loretta. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Us on Facebook, it's at ORCINCT. So at the initials Orange Recycling Committee in CT.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've
Thanks,
adjourned,
everybody.
so we'll see you all next time, or if not
Thank you,
before.
everybody. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Good night.